Hello everyone, my name is Kate Marshall. The name of my channel is called Inked Paper Art. In today's video, we're going to talk about my fall/Halloween journals. They're made out of these very large, oversized bingo cards. They have these cute little doors that slide open and closed. So these are a project I started a while ago. We're going to talk about what kind of journals they are. We're going to finish these journals up over the next few days. They're kind of started, they have pages in them, but before we do all of that, let's talk about the fact that these are ring bound journals. So ring bound journals, they don't have a sewn in signature. They are held together by these binder rings. You can order the binder rings on Amazon. I will try to put some links in there for you, but you can use any size binder rings. These might look way too big for you at the moment, but whenever the journal is opened up, you need some extra space in there so that your journal can open and close. And I don't have all the pages in these journals just yet either. And that will help fill out from, the rings looking so big. But anyway, so to make a ring bound journal, what you will need is you'll need a front cover. This is my front cover. You'll need a back cover. For these ones, I constructed my own back cover. So front and back cover plus the rings. And then from there, you're going to want to put your pages in. Now these pages I have added in and I've made a template. So you punch your holes in your bingo card and you make a template so that all of your pages will have the holes line up exactly the same place. That way all of your pages will open and close perfectly. So a template is really important. So first of all, select your front cover, select your back cover, purchase your rings or you pick out your rings. Then you want to punch the holes in your front cover and then match that up. Like I usually just punch them in the front cover, lay the front cover on top of some white cardstock, and then take a pencil and trace inside of those holes and then punch the holes in my template. After you have a template, you line up all of your other pages and you put your template on them and punch the holes for those. Or you can draw them with a pencil and then punch them however you feel like you want to do it. So that's the template. That's how you get to pages. Today's video is focusing on making more pages for these journals. So these journals are fall/Halloween. I don't like to do scary Halloween. It's just not my thing. These are kind of a one-time make of fall Halloween journals, and they mostly are centered around pumpkins or fall flowers or little kids in cutesy costumes. I don't do, again, the scary stuff for Halloween, but if you do, more power to you. I'm just saying you're not going to see a lot in the theme in these. So let's look through what I have done so far. This one is the most finished journal. And I'm going to do just a quick little flip through. In the beginning here, I have some ephemera, some corner pockets that I made. There are 3 of these journals. So, you're going to see lots of duplication in triplet here. So they have a marquee letter in the front. That's just a cute little marquee letter. Then they have some cardstock pages, which I've done here. This is as scary as it got, and that was just an old house picture, really. And so then, we've got some pocket pages. All of these are cardstock pages or thick book page, doubled up book page. This is a stock certificate here that's made into some pockets. I've got some old-timey scrapbook paper in there, doubled up book page again. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through these and we're going to add in whatever more missing pages I need, some journaling pages. We've got pockets already put in on some pages. And then I have some pre-made ephemera, but plus we're going to make more ephemera as the week goes on. So this week we're going to be dealing with this kind of a theme. However, all of the projects that I'm showing you, you could make for any theme. It doesn't have to be fall. It doesn't have to be Halloween. It doesn't have to be anything like that. You could use any of the ideas that I'm showing you to make any style of journal, really. And so I've got some small pages, some bigger pages, pocket pages. You can see I've reinforced some. If the paper was thinner, I've taken my medical tape and reinforced right here. You could also use your hole reinforcer stickers to reinforce thin pages. Just a lot of different pages in here. This is holding some decorations that I was thinking about putting over here. or I could put it on there. But we've got a ways to go to finish these up. I'm hoping to have them finished by the end of the week. And this one has a lot of the cardstock pages in it, but it needs the rest of like the journaling pages and the antique pages and things like that. The other two are not quite as finished as this one. Let's go ahead and get some pages going in them. And that's when you're going to see me use my template and punch my holes and that kind of stuff to make the rest of the pages. So today's video is talking about ring bound journals as an overall way of binding a journal. We're going to talk about making the pages for ring bound journals. Again, you can use anything I'm telling you and make any style of journal. And then we're going to make some ephemera as the week goes on, some pockets, that kind of thing. At the end, I will show you what kind of closure system I'm going to use for my ring bound journal. A ring bound journal does not have to have a closure, but I am going to put closures on these three. And then hopefully these three will be available for purchase within the next 10 days or so. I am trying to get them done. Okay, so let's get on to making some pages. Okay, so the tool that I'm using to punch my holes through all my pages is just the Crocodile, and I'm using the large hole side. So there's a small hole and a large hole. The large hole is, I don't know how big, it says it is 3/16 of an inch. So that's what I'm using to punch the holes in my pages. So we'll get to using that here in a second. Now let me show you what I have pulled for pages. These ones are prepped and ready to go, and they're just, this is an antique piece or vintage piece of ephemera backed to cardstock. And so I wanted some pages in there that were thicker, and then we'll have some thinner writing pages. This is a pocket page, a couple pocket pages just made from Tim Holtz cardstock with a folded up little pocket at the bottom. And again, you can see all of these ones are ready to go in. They've got their holes punched. This is coffee dyed cardstock. This is dictionary page. This is just some blank black cardstock for us to do some mixed media on. And I do have some Edith Holden pages that need to have the holes punched. That's where we're going to start today, is punching some holes in some things. So after you've made your template, right, I've already talked to you guys about how to do that. Make sure that you write whatever way is top on your template, because it can matter, right? You want to make sure that you're lining up your template top to the tops of your pages, instead of having it be like upside down or whatever, flipped over the other way, then your holes wouldn't line up. So when you make your template, make sure that you've labeled the top. And for these ones, we're just going to go ahead and put this together. I've lined everything up, and we're going to punch our holes. Now, I will say, if you're not really good about being dead on punching through your template, you are going to over punch your template, and eventually this hole is going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. So if you're not really good about lining it up, then probably you want to take a pencil and you want to draw the circle, like outline the circle, and then remove your template and then punch from there. I think I'm probably okay to go ahead and just punch it where I'm not punching into my template. So you do want to be able to, you don't want to mark up your template. So just make sure that if you struggle with punching through there, that you're using a pencil and going through, and I'll show you that too. So like right here, it's a little bit off right there. It's okay. And the reason why it's off is because I've over punched my template too many times. So if you struggle with that, just take your pencil and I have a pen here. And what you would have done is you would have put your template on there, and then you would have traced your holes, and then you would have punched them. That way you're not nicking up your template. That's important. Okay, so those are punched. We're good to go with those. And then we need to size them to fit into our journals, and I'll do that here in just a moment. But for now, we're just going to continue on making pages. I have some of this. It's just really botanical book page. And for these type of journals, ring bound journals, you don't need folios. This is a folio. It's connected in the center. Really all you need is single pages. So I'm just going to take this, and we're going to pop this apart, and we're going to just make this into 2 pages, and then we're going to hole punch. These could have also been folded up and put in as just ephemera in there in the pocket itself. So if you have a page that is too small and you can't get all 3 of your holes, or if your top hole is going to be too close to the top of the page, you may just skip punching that one because it's too close and it will just tear it out. So it's okay just to punch 1 or even 2 holes if you want. You could just punch the center hole and that would keep your pages in your book. Or, you know, if you have space, punch the bottom too. For this one, it's pretty close up there at the top. So I'm going to avoid punching that one because if I did, it would really just be punched right up here and chances are there's not enough paper there, it would tear out. You could put hole reinforcer, but you don't really need it. It's fine. So there's 2 of those. We're going to need 1 more here. So I'm just making pages, then we'll go through and we'll start placing some pockets. And so just gather up all your supplies, go through, figure out, you know, some thin paper pages and some thick cardstock ones. I think the ring bound journals, they just stay together better if you do have some cardstocky pages in there. And then I've got a bunch of Florentine paper picked out. So I know you guys are going to ask me like what I used for pages. So I have some Florentine paper over here picked out, and that's just Italian Florentine paper. We can use that for pages. Then I have some time cards that I thought I might either use as ephemera or I might make them into pages. Not sure yet. I've got some coffee dyed papers that I know we're putting in here. All of these I know we're putting in. And I know we need to punch a bunch of coffee dyed regular writing paper. And I've got some more cardstock in case I need cardstock. But right now we're going to work on these. And these are ledger pages. So these are really oversized. We're going to need to shorten them and then we're going to punch them. You could make fold out pages. You can do all the normal page things that you would do in a regular sewn in signature. You can do all the normal things. It's just taken a little bit of tweaking because of the way that you're putting your pages in your book. So for these ones, let me give myself a little bit of workspace. For these ones, we're just going to make them into pages. And so you can see my journal is a little bit smaller than my pages. That gives us the option to fold up the bottom and make that into a pocket if we wanted to. We could fold it up like that. I think that looks pretty good. So let's go ahead and do a couple things here. We might want to fold it in. I think that would be fun. So let's fold it in, and I like this one with this old tape. So I'm going to fold it in as much as I can, leaving space here where I can punch my holes because you don't want to punch your hole through your folded in part, right? So there's that. That looks pretty good. Now we need to fold up a bottom pocket. And so I want the pocket to be on the front side here. And I'm just lining it up as best as I can. This is a thicker ledger paper. And so it's going to look like that put into the journal. That's perfect. Okay. So then let's take our template. And on your template, again, you only want to punch the front side. You don't want to punch the back side. So line it up. You could take the pencil and draw through if you wanted to. It is important that you can see where you're punching. So as paper gets stuck in your little hole punch, you're going to need to remove that. There we go. And one more. Paper keep getting stuck in there. And in fact, it's stuck now. If that gets stuck in there, you're going to need to have a little punchy tool or a little pokey tool to get that out of there. Okay, so line it back up, making sure that all your holes are centered. Your template is lined up. There we go. And if it's off a little tiny bit, it won't really matter because the holes are slightly larger than your rings, but you do want to try to keep them in the same place in every journal. So that's for that. That looks pretty good. We need at least one more of these. So here's this one. I'm going to fold it over, and at least with ledger paper, it does give you a nice place to line that up. So we're just folding some paper pages today. I'm going to fold this up and make a pocket. I think ring bound journals are fun, especially if you struggle with sewing in signatures, which I know many of you guys have told me that you don't really like that part. That's not your favorite part of making a journal. Maybe it's just that it's nerve-wracking, or sometimes it's just hard to get the pages lined up and get that needle to go through. But a ring bound journal is just a different style. Typically a ring bound journal is more expensive. It does take longer to make. You have to make every little page individually, which, you know, is a lot different than just folding paper together and sewing it into a signature. So, you know, there are some differences. There's differences in price, and there's difference with construction, and anything that takes more time generally is more expensive, right? Now, that being said, you don't have to decorate to the nines like I'm going to do. You could make it more simple to offset some of that cost. For sure, you could do that. There are lots of makers who prefer to make a ring bound journal as opposed to the sewn in signature. I think it allows you also to be able to make, you know, pages that have a lot of bulkier decorations, or elements where, you know, you can't really, on a regular sewn in signature, you can't add bulky items to the pages, or else you'd need like a writing board or something like that. Because if I was adding a bunch of bulk here, like if I had some really big bulky item under here, like a pokey tool, you wouldn't be able to write on that. But in a ring bound journal, the way that it opens up, it does allow you to pull the page out that you want to journal on and then put it back in, because you can just undo the little rings right here. So it allows you to take pages out and do mixed media or some other type of journaling project, whatever you want to do. You could sew on them later if you wanted to. You could sew your ephemera in if you wanted to. But in a sewn in signature, your pages are locked in because they're sewn in. So there are differences. Okay, so we have 3 ledger pages. That's good for the 3 journals. Clean up some of those little holes. Okay, let's talk about making some of the Florentine papers into pages. So I have a selection of those. And I think there are some that I definitely want to use, like these 3. Definitely want those. And so I'm going to punch a bunch of these all at once. Let's put those in. I think those look pretty fallish / Halloween. Again, there's nothing scary on them, but they look nice. They're pretty. And let's use some of these pretty florals too. So I don't have a lot of green going in these journals. Let's choose some of these floral green pages. So there's 3 of those. I could do the owls if I want. I like these 3. So we're just going to add some fun pages in here. So that's probably good. That's probably good with those. Then I have some that look like this. These ones are super cute. So let's add those 3 in. And that's probably a good start for just adding Florentine paper. Florentine paper comes from Italy. It's super good quality, you know, luxury stationery paper. And so what we're going to do with these is we're going to add them just as regular pages. We could do some decorating and embellishing on the fronts of them, but there's just writing space on the back. These are letterpress ones, and so that's actually kind of embossed into the paper. But the rest of these, they're just regular writing paper on the back. It's not a white, it's more of an ivory. We can fold them up and make some pockets with these longer ones. These ones are cut to size. So let's get those hole punched and put in. Lots of hole punching. If you're not a fan of hole punching, then ring bound is probably not your style, but lots of hole punching in this project. So you can clip this together if you find that it's moving too much. I generally just keep pushing it together with my fingers as I go and hole punch. So there's 3 of those. So now I'm punching a bunch of pages at once. Let's pull up some of these and let's make them into pockets. So we could fold it up this way, or what I would prefer to do is fold it up this way and make a pocket. So I'm just going to fold the 3 of them together, because I do have 3 pages here. And we're just going to make all 3 a pocket. There we go. Now, when you're punching a page that has a pocket, you are going to punch through that pocket right there. And that's actually good because you're going to need to add just a little bit of glue there to keep that pocket closed on that side. And you could seal up this side if you wanted, or you could leave it open. It doesn't matter from that side. But there's that. And so we're going to line these up. Put the template on, and for this one, again, it's going to be really close to the edge up there with that hole, so I'm only going to put 2 holes in it. That's just the way I like to do it. You can do it however you want, but I find that when it gets too close to the corner of the page, it's better to just not punch it. So there's those, and they'll all 3 have a pocket on the back side. Then we have these ones here. Let's do these 3. And again, if I fold it up, it will be upside down. If I fold it up here, it's a little too plain. I think we're just going to leave these ones. Maybe I'll just cut them down to size. That will leave us some fun little pieces for decorating later. So let's just trim off a section of these. It looks like right about where this line is, so I'm just going to trim that off. And I'm cutting 3 at once. And we'll have these for decorating bits. That's kind of fun. So then we'll punch our holes. You can see how you have to make each individual page. There's no, just folding papers together in ring bound. It doesn't work that way. So it is more labor intensive for sure. Again, if you're a mixed media artist, though, a ring bound journal is much better for you because you can pull pages out and work on each individual page. So for these 2, let's fold this one up to be pockets. Make a little bit deeper of a pocket there. And we're just going to punch holes. So this is really a video about ring bound journals and how to make pages for them. Their overall construction. You're going to need rings. If you don't want to use rings, you could use string or ribbon. If you just punch your holes like you normally would, like I did here, you're going to also punch your holes and then take your string or your ribbon and tie your journal together. And so, you might not want to punch your holes until your journal was all assembled and you had all the papers in order, and then you just took sections out and punched all the holes together. And then instead of using these rings, you would use ribbon or string and tie it together. That's a way of doing it too. No right or wrong. So that's different option. If you have not seen ring bound journals, I encourage you to look them up. Most journal makers, we experiment with different styles of making journals. We get bored. We don't want to do the same thing over and over again. And it's good to try every style, in my opinion. It's good to try every style at least once because you need to figure out what you like and what you don't like and that kind of thing. So from there, I also have pulled some other pages for us to punch and use, and that's these. I've got some coffee dyed. I love the color of these. They're really a lime green ledger page, and they already have holes in them, but the chances of those holes lining up where I need my holes, that's not good. So we're going to use them in this journal. And you can see that they're very oversized. So this is the size of my page from top to bottom. And it just shows me where I need to mark my holes. So for something like this, I'm probably going to leave it the size that it is. And I'm probably going to fold in a little tuck spot over here on the edge. Could fold it back or fold it forward. And then we do have it where it needs to be chopped off at the top. So the first thing I'm going to do is chop off that top part. And again, I'm just going to grab a pen, line it up, make a little tiny mark here. And that's going to tell me where to cut those. We're going to cut them, fold them, and punch them. And so get those slid in there. Line them up. Again, fun little scraps for scrappy little notepads. There's that. And then to size these, you can see that I can just pretty much put them over there and decide how far to fold in a little tuck on that side. Perfect. Now we need to get our holes punched. And so these ones, the little bottom hole is kind of in the way of where I need this to go. I'm not going to worry about it. It will be fine that way. However, if your holes overlap too much, it might give your pages a little bit too much play. I'm not super worried about it, but see where the big hole was? That's the original hole. And then there's my little hole. It will give it a little play. It won't be terrible, so I'm leaving it. Now let's worry about regular copy dyed book page. So I have 3 of these. They're dictionary pages. It's a thicker paper. And we're just going to hole punch those and put those in as fun little pages. They're the perfect size. That was lucky. So then we're going to add these, and I'll show you how to open up your rings and get them added into your journal. So there's that. I need to punch a bunch of copy dyed paper as well. So these ones here, they're just interesting, coffee dyed with more of like a typewriter font on them. I like this rough torn edge on the side. So let's figure out how we want to fold these. Not everything has to have a folded up pocket. We could just cut these off and put them in. They're just ever so slightly too long. Let's just cut them. I don't want to have a million pockets. If you have a million pockets, it's a million pockets that you need to fold, or you need to fill, I mean. So I don't want to have too many pockets. And again, those are fun little scraps. By the end, we'll have enough leftover scraps that we will need to make some scrappy notepads. And so then they're just a little too wide. I'm going to chop them there too. And those could be fun little labels or little things you stamp words on. Since they're already coffee dyed, we might as well keep them. And then how about these ones? These are basically the same thing where they're coffee dyed book page. I chose some interesting recipes, pickles, celery vinegar, and some broiled mutton chops. Anyway, some just fun coffee dyed pages. Like I said, my journals are more cutesy instead of scary. I don't do the whole scary Halloween thing. Just going to chop off the bottom, and we're going to hole punch all of these at the same time. And then I think other than coffee dyed pages, we're going to have enough pages in these where we can really start to assemble them. I know this video is getting a little long, so I will do my best with getting stuff done here for you. So it looks like we're going to have these 2 hole punched. There we go. There we go. And we don't need a third because it would be pretty close up there. Like, I don't want a third on this one for sure. Let's see where this one lines up. I can do it on this one. This one can have a third hole. There we go. All right, so other than coffee dye, we're good. For coffee dyed paper, I just have a bunch of regular coffee dyed paper. Just all of this kind of regular, coffee dye. I'm not going to fold it into pockets or anything like that. I'm just going to cut it to size. And so I'm just going to use this guy. And we're going to hole punch a bunch of it all together, assemble these pages, and stick them in. You can see where after a project like this, you do need to make some scrappy little notebooks. So I think we're just about there. Wonderful. I love having that. And then for size wise, nothing has to be the same exact size. It can be eyeballed. Eyeballing is just fine. And then I'm just going to add a little bit more coffee dye. So we're good to go with pages. And then next is ephemera. So I have some pockets already made. I have some pockets already in the journals as well. So these ones were started last year, actually. And it's taken me this long. I didn't get them done last Halloween or last fall. So I do have some ephemera already made, which will give me a jump start to getting these done within the week or so. I'm excited to have them done, have that bin freed up in my craft room. I know you guys are excited because this was a kit that was a kit from last year, actually. We had Halloween kits, the monthly journal kits, and we had fall Halloween ones last year. We didn't do it this year, but we had some leftover ones from last year that we recently sold in a live sale. The Christmas kits are coming. They're taking a long time to make because there are so many pieces in them. So they're coming. Christmas ones, holiday 2025 ones. And so that will be the next project that we do together as a group. And we'll be starting that, hopefully, we'll be starting that around the 1st of November. It depends on how quickly we can get those kits in your guys' hands. But once you get those kits, it's a sewn-in signature journal. It's not like these, but once you get those kits, we'll be working on that one. So these are the pages that I just sat here in this 30-minute video. These are the pages that we just made. We made a lot of pages to fill out these journals. So very quickly, I'm going to go through the journals and I'm going to, just maybe one of them. I'm going to pop open the rings. And so you don't pop open the rings until you are at a place where you want to add your page. So for here, you can see that we have some pages in here. And really what I like to do is I like to put like a coffee dyed page in between all of my other pages. And so you're just going to pop your rings open. You're going to pick out whatever page you're trying to add in there and get it added in. Now, if you want to add several pages at once, you go ahead and do that. And so you're just going to pop in your pages. Now, if you want to add hole reinforcers, it's not a bad idea on the thin paper to add hole reinforcers. However, I have so many coffee dyed pages I'm putting in here, I'm not going to add hole reinforcer to every single one of them. And so here we could add another page. We have Edith Holden we could add in there. Now, Edith is just a little bit too tall up there at the top. I think I'm just going to take some scissors, actually. Oh, it says October at the top. We're going to have to trim off the bottom. We can't trim off the bottom because I already punched my holes in there. We can't trim off the bottom. So we are going to lose that little October word at the top of this page. But we'll save it and we'll use it for ephemera. So there's how I tore that one off. And then again, you're just going to pop them open. Now you could take it all apart and mess with your signature that way. I just prefer to do it one page at a time. I think it gives me better control over how I set up my pages. And it doesn't take all that long, right? So there's Edith Holden in there. We could add another coffee dye. We have coffee dye here, though. That's cardstock. So let's see about adding one of the Florentine papers in here. Let's do the writing one. So let's get this Florentine. I can't get them apart. Let's do this one right here. And so we're just adding a variety of fun pages in. And this is an ivory on the back. It may look white on camera, but it is ivory. And so we're just getting those lined up, getting them put in. And then continuing on. We could have something there if we wanted. This is a flip out page. Let's do some coffee dyed paper here, like this. So we're going to fluff these out, fill them as full as I can fill them, and then we'll stick ephemera in, and these rings will start to get shorter and shorter. There we go. Now this one, when you get this situation, all I do is trim that off, and it's just so it doesn't impact where this ring is. We can't punch a hole right there because it's just too close to the corner, and all it would do is tear off eventually anyway. So I just trim the corner so it doesn't impact the ring. There we go. We're going to need to do a coffee dyed page in here. Actually, we have this lovely green ledger one. Let's add that one. So this green ledger is going to look good with this little Edith Holden we have tucked back there. I love that. So it's just a lot of opening and closing at this point and getting these pages put in. You know, this is kind of the joy of ring bound. There are different ways you could stack your pages, but I like this way. There's that and those, and then we'll add regular coffee dye for writing space. So I just have all those pages stacked off to the side over here, and that's what I'm pulling from as I go through. Just so you can see my hands there, just kind of pulling regular coffee dye or whatever I need. And so, yeah, that's the process. So next, we'll make pockets, whatever pockets need made. We'll make ephemera. I've got some lovely tag ideas, pocket ideas for these, as well as I'll show you what was already made last year. So that's the video for today. Thank you so much for joining me. I will see you guys again tomorrow. We will be doing this for a few days here just to get these finished, hopefully, but I will mix in some other, you know, regular 365 junk journal ideas too for more ephemera making. Thanks so much for joining. I'll see you guys again soon. Bye.